Welcome. I'm Eric Brenner with Your Wealth Health, and thank you for joining us at our very first show. We're very excited to bring this to you. With me is Bill Davis today. He's a private wealth advisor with Hilltop Wealth Solutions. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we're on a very important topic today, Social Security strategies. You know, Bill, I think a lot of times people overlook the strategy around Social Security. Don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's probably the biggest decision that anybody will ever make in their going into their retirement years.
Yeah, and we talk about it being a pension. You know, so oftentimes I ask folks, do you have a pension? And they say no, and the answer is actually yes.
That's right.
Because if they have Social Security, they have a pension.
Yep.
But yet, people don't treat it like that. I mean, often we see people treat it as though make the choice, move on. But you know, if somebody has a pension, really what they do often is, even if they really don't like what they're doing, you know, maybe they've done it for 28 years, 29 years, they'll wait until the pension's fully vested, right?
Yeah.
And you know, they'll gut it out so that they're not taking their pension early. But yet with Social Security, they take it early often.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of the most commonly misunderstood decisions that people have to make, which is, I think, part of the reason you chose that for this show.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you take a look at the stats, it's not just us thinking that. We take a look at the screen. When people claim, you know, Social Security puts out statistics, and if you look at this, at age 62, 34% of the participants claim at 62. You know, where before full retirement age, so full retirement age would be considered the fully vested in Social Security.
Right.
57% claim before their full retirement age. So the way to think about that is, you know, if it's a pension, 57% of the folks claim prior to their Social Security pension vesting.
It really does amaze me that people give up that much income. You know, when we run calculators and show people how much they're going to earn during their Social Security years, you know, it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars less by claiming at 62, or at least not having a informed decision about which claiming strategy to take.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when you think about Social Security and the strategies, and you know, if you're married, it's not just about you, is it?
No, it's not. No, you need to take into account the surviving spouse, and whoever has the higher earnings over their lifetime needs to really be cautious about taking Social Security early.
Yeah, and I think, you know, one of the things that we wanted to really convey here today was some folks may think that a lot of those strategies were changed with the law. Mm-hmm. And even though some of those are phasing out, and we may not have as many strategies, we still have several strategies that need to be looked at.
Oh, there's hundreds of options available to a couple that's turning 62 today.
Yeah.
And so it's a very important decision, and cost of living adjustments is another big part of that.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other thing I think about is this whole notion of it's a pension. And most pensions don't have Social Security, inflation built in.
Cost of living.
Cost
right.
of living. And where Social Security does.
That's right.
So, you know, we use an estimate typically of 2.6%.
Right.
Often we hear that, you know, folks say, well, you know, my Medicare went up a little bit, my Social Security went up to help offset it. And in a lot of ways that's good because it helped offset the increase of Medicare. But we use 2.6% over a period of time. And that's really stated from some very good facts from the Social Security trustees as to where they see in the future cost of living adjustments will be for Social Security. Mm-hmm. So if you take a look at the screen, it really shows a benefit today of $2,000 with an annual increase of 2.6%. You can see that in 10 years, that benefit now becomes $2,585. And in 20 years, it becomes $3,342. $1,300 more a month. And you know, you think about that, that may be only one. If you're married and you have two Social Security benefits coming in, you know, it could be double that.
Right. And most commonly people say to us, Eric, that, well, I'm not going to live that long, or whatever. Well, the life expectancy tables don't tell us that.
Yeah.
You know, we're looking at Males, a little over 84, average life expectancy 84, women over almost 87 years old.
Yeah.
So, those numbers, those inflation numbers, those cost of living adjustments will come into play in everybody's situation.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think you just have to come to the fact that there's going to be some longevity.
Yeah.
And the chances of it, if you're married, the chances of one of the spouses living well into the 80s, maybe into the 90s, is a fact. And when you add in the cost of living on top of this, it really does show. The other thing I think about is, oftentimes folks are guided to strategies, right, to products, okay? And unfortunately, that may not be the right solution, but it's a product. It's products sold.
Well, specifically annuities. We see a lot of people getting into annuities with guaranteed lifetime benefits.
Yeah.
That we find to be very, very cost prohibitive.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it makes sense, but they spend a lot of time around that, and they don't spend a lot of time around planning the Social Security, which, by the way, is a guaranteed benefit of income stream with a cost of living rider.
And no cost.
And no cost. And so, I know we see 3% to 4% cost on annuities.
Yes.
That a lot of times folks never really utilize it. Mm-hmm. They don't need the money, so they don't draw off that benefit and utilize it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. In the annuity benefit.
In the annuity benefit.
Yeah, they pay for it for years and years and never really need it or utilize it. True.
Yeah. So I think that really taking a look and making sure that it's it may make sense, but then again, make sure you have an understanding from a Social Security perspective. The other thing I think that's important as we work and the work that we do every day is making sure this all meshes together, right? A holistic approach to say, just because my neighbor took Social Security at 62 does not mean I should take Social Security at 62, right? So there's kind of those numbers that you have to look at in one situation.
Well, most commonly the first thing that somebody says to me about this topic is that I've worked all these years, I'm going to take it as soon as I possibly can. But they could be disinheriting a spouse or totally underestimating the future benefits that are going to be available to them if they wait.
Yeah, and a lot of times the calculation that I've run into is folks don't take into consideration the cost of living adjustment. We just talked about that 2.6%.
Yep.
They don't take that into consideration on the benefit. Mm-hmm. And when you take a reduced amount, right, that 2.6% is on a lesser amount.
Correct. Yep.
And if you're at full retirement age at 67 and you take it at 62, that's a 30% reduction in your pension for life. So really important decisions.
Yes, they are.
Yep. When we return on Your Wealth Health, Elaine Floyd will join us and share some very interesting ideas around Social Security strategies.
Riverbend Cancer Services serves our cancer survivors and their families in three very distinct ways. The first is financial assistance. For those people who are having a tough financial time through their diagnosis, we step up and help them pay for their medications, their transportation, and other needs that come along so that they can actually focus on getting better. The second thing we do is we offer wellness programming. This is an opportunity for our cancer survivors and their families to reattach a positive image between their physical selves and their minds, really paying attention to that mind-body connection. And the third way that we help people is through counseling services. That's everything from the one-on-one individual counseling to support groups, to art counseling, to music counseling. We do all of this free of charge, and we also do all of it to equip people with the tools that they need to reduce the fear and the anxiety that comes with the diagnosis so that they can live their most hopeful and healthy lives. To learn more, visit us at riverbendcancerservices.org.
Hi, welcome back to Your Wealth Health. I'm really excited to have Elaine Floyd join me. Elaine is a certified financial planner and director of retirement and life planning for Horse's Mouth. Elaine's the author of a couple books, including The Financial Advisor's Guide to Social Security Planning. She's often quoted in leading publications, including the Wall Street Journal, Market Watch, Retirement Weekly, and other publications. So Elaine, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Hey Elaine, with your many years of experience in teaching and talking about Social Security strategies, what is some of the biggest mistakes that you see couples make when it comes to their Social Security planning?
Well, I'll say one of the biggest mistakes that people in general make, and this starts early, and that is not making the connection between their lifetime earnings and their eventual Social Security retirement benefit. Social Security is based on your highest 35 years of earnings, and I think if people knew that, they would maybe work a few more years or maybe ask for those raises to try to beef up their earnings record, because that's very important in terms of determining what the amount of their Social Security benefit is going to be. A second mistake that couples make that you asked is having the higher earning spouse not claim at age 70. In other words, not maximizing his own Social Security benefit, because when he dies, his benefit will transfer over to his widow as her survivor benefit. So the best thing that he can do to maximize that benefit for her is to claim his benefit at age 70.
Yeah, and you think that especially when there's an age gap, right? The bigger the age
Yes.
gap, potentially, it's not maximizing that. And we often say it at our firm and working with clients, it's not just about you; it's about you and your spouse, right? And so, yeah, those are really great points. Often we hear, well, Social Security's not going to be here for me, right? So I'm not going to worry about it. Or I'm going to claim it early because I'm worried about it going away. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, it depends on who I'm talking to. And if I am talking to anyone under about age 55 or 60, I'm going to say, that Social Security will be there for you. I will say that, because as long as we're paying FICA taxes, as long as that 6.2% is coming out of our paycheck, that money is being paid out to current retirees. And I would just say if they were to abolish the system in any way, that tax would stop. And so everybody seems to be focused on the trust fund, which currently holds about $3 trillion and is going to start dwindling as baby boomers continue to retire. But those payroll taxes will continue to be collected. And so everybody can pretty much count on that safety net. But that said, Social Security is not going to be enough to sustain you in retirement. On average, it provides about 40% of the average retiree's income in retirement, and they're going to have, everyone who retires is going to need income from other sources.
So they got to look at definitely supplementing it. What are some of the things that they're looking at now, Elaine, to potentially, you mentioned the trust fund, right? What are some other things that you're seeing that they're potentially looking at? Of course, we never know exactly what's going to happen until it happens. But what are they looking at?
So the trustees, every year, the Social Security trustees, the actuaries, do a 75-year cost projection. And every year they publish it in an annual report. And the latest report shows that the trust fund currently holds about $3 trillion. In 2034, the trust fund will be exhausted, basically, because that money will have been used to pay benefits to current retirees. But the taxes will still be coming in, and that will be enough to pay about 80% of benefits at current levels. Now, so clearly the system is not sustainable. No one wants benefits to be cut in 2034. So very likely Congress will act to beef up the system. And they're looking, the most likely proposal to pass is will have some combination of raising the taxes a bit, especially for high-income people, and tweaking the retirement age and the benefits a bit, just so that in the end they will be able to pay benefits at current levels for the 75-year time horizon.
Yeah, so definitely some adjustments at some point, because obviously it's not going to sustain itself over long term. But that's really important to. I mean, I don't think it'll go away, is what we're saying.
Right.
To totally. Right.
Right.
But
I mean, we've been saying that for 30 years.
Yeah.
The Social Security system wasn't sustainable. It was going to go away. And actually, it was very good for the whole baby boomer generation to hear that message, because it got us to, put money into our 401k plans and to manage our own retirement resources. So I would just say the same goes for the younger generations. Social Security will probably be there as a safety net, but don't count on it to provide all of your retirement income.
Yeah, that's a great point, and that's where especially reduction or pretty much elimination of pensions. I mean, they still exist a little bit out there, but very few of those with pensions. And earlier on the show, Elaine, we were talking about having people think about their Social Security benefit as a pension.
Yeah.
It's a pension that has a cost of living adjustment to it, and they really need to spend the time and make sure that they're analyzing it, correctly.
Yes.
So,
yes, and it's a very good pension. Let me just say that. If you were to compare Social Security to, say, a commercial annuity that you could buy in the marketplace, which they're good products too. I mean, people may want to buy annuities to go along with their Social Security, but because the Social Security has that cost of living adjustment, and because it continues until the day you die, it is a very good source of retirement income. So I would just encourage everyone, even the skeptics out there who think Social Security isn't sustainable, please do everything you can to support the system, because we need it, in our society to keep, people out of poverty.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then, longevity. I mean, this is also, we were talking about earlier in the show, longevity is there, and you got to come to the reality that, if you're married, one of you will probably live well into your 80s, into your 90s.
Yep, absolutely.
So
I think people are going to end up living much longer than they ever thought they would. And, my answer to people who want to claim early because they think the system is going broke, my answer to that is, you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk that the system won't go broke and that you will be stuck with a permanently reduced benefit well into your 80s or 90s or even 100s,
Yeah.
And so if you want to insure against your own longevity, the best thing to do is to delay that benefit. Start taking it at 70.
Yeah. Boy, that's some great thoughts, and we really appreciate you joining us today, Elaine, and sharing your insights and helping people think about this, in a little bit different fashion, and hopefully, take it very serious in their overall financial plan. So, Elaine, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
When we return on Your Wealth Health, Bill will rejoin me, and we'll take your questions, and we'll give you some different insights as we move forward with the show.
Are you running a business? Not happy with the sales? Don't worry. TJ21 Media Group is a full-service video production company. So why TJ21? We offer the best in high-definition video production with a passion for everything we do. We provide a wide range of services from TV commercials to aerial shots to local events. Let us help you market a new stimulated concept that makes your customers want to do business with you. Call us at 574-607-8112 or visit tj21.com.
Welcome back to Your Wealth Health. Bill, Elaine just had some really great information, don't you think?
Every time I hear Elaine, it just amazes me, the wealth of knowledge that she brings to the topic.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and it just shows that you really need to take this topic really strongly consider how does it work into your overall financial plan.
Yep.
So how about we take a couple questions?
That'd be great.
All right. So John from Niles said, I heard that I will be penalized for drawing Social Security early if I'm still working, and it will affect my benefit for life. So the way I'm assuming John must be wanting to draw it early and still continue to work, not
Yeah,
retire.
and you really got to be cautious. I mean, if you earn over that $17,640, you're going to start getting a 2-to-1 cut in your Social Security. So
you get a reduced benefit already,
right?
And part of your Social Security can be taxable.
Yep.
So that's another piece of it. Now the piece about will it affect benefit for life? That's a little bit more complicated because it doesn't reduce your benefit for life. You still have a reduced benefit. So again, anytime full retirement age, you have you take benefit prior to full retirement age, there's going to be a reduced benefit involved. But what they actually do when you get to full retirement age, if you've been drawing, is they'll do a recalculation and give you a credit for what was withheld and then continue on your benefit. So, how do we think about that, typically when someone's wanting to draw benefit yet still have an income?
Well, I'll tell you that I don't have the calculations don't work out very favorably in most of them that I look at, and but some people are bound to determine that they want to claim the benefit, save it all, and if that's the case, then sometimes it works out.
Yeah, and they have to also consider that cost of living
Yep.
adjustment.
You're going to get a COLA on a smaller number.
Yeah, COLA on a smaller number, which will
right.
be a smaller number.
Yep.
So, all right. Our next question is Kelly from South Bend. She's 63 and started to draw my benefits, but now I have a new job. So she just started to draw benefits at 63, and she does not need the Social Security income. Can she stop her monthly Social Security payment?
You know, this happens quite often that people retire and then they kind of want to go back to work because, you know, they weren't quite sure that that retirement was the right thing for them. And now all of a sudden, sometimes they're earning more than they used to earn before.
Right, yeah. They got some good
Consulting jobs and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I always recommend that if you are going to take it early, save it, because you could stop in the first 12 months. You could stop the Social Security. You could pay it back and then suspend until you became full retirement age, 66, 67, somewhere in that range, and then get your full benefit.
Yeah.
But you would have to pay it back, and that's what I think where people get caught up a little bit.
Yeah, because it could be, 12 months worth of benefit.
Could be a lot of money.
But in the end, it could also mean a lot. So you really have to run the math, don't you?
Seek the help of somebody that has calculators to help you out with these things.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
not always can the Social Security Administration give you advice. They will help you any way they can, but it's difficult for them to give you advice on what you should or shouldn't
Absolutely, yeah. They won't do projections.
Right.
They'll tell you what your benefit is today.
do. Yep.
Right? And so it's really important to make sure that you take into account, again, the whole financial picture.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about some factors to consider when it comes to drawing Social Security. So if you take a look at the screen, Bill, the first one on there is health status.
Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, how healthy are you now? How long do you think that you might live? Take into account some of your history, your family history, and yeah, I mean, if you just are likely to not make it to your life expectancy, claiming early might make sense.
Yeah.
But a lot of people need the income, so unfortunately, they just need to collect early. And then, whether or not you plan on working or, to me, the biggest issue is survivor needs.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the last bullet on that slide is that we need to understand, and you had it on your previous guest, talked about, especially when there's a big gap in the age of the participants of the married couple.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you need the income, then there's not a lot of strategy.
Right.
But if you're fortunate enough and done a good job and you have the ability to choose where your income comes from, then becomes the strategy. One of the other things that a factor to consider was, whether or not you plan to work. So we mentioned that a little bit with the question, what is your plan going forward? Mm-hmm. So.
A lot of people are displaced. We get it. Get midlife, people get displaced from their job and they need to take a lesser income job. And if that's the case, then they're going to be under the earnings limits. Might make sense to combine the Social Security payment with the lower earnings and, be able to sustain their lifestyle that they had prior to being displaced from their job.
Yeah. Well, hey, Bill, I really appreciate you joining us here on Your Wealth Health in our first show. Thanks for your insight and, giving everyone kind of an overview of Social Security.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah. So if you want to find out more about your Social Security or how, what kind of Social Security strategy might be best for you, and you are in the Michiana area, we do have a couple workshops that you're going to want to mark your calendars on. October 17th and 21st at the Innovation Park at Notre Dame. And you can go to hilltopwealthsolutions.com or call our office to make your reservation. So make sure you take advantage of that. Secondly, if you want to educate yourself more about your particular strategy, we do have a free guide called the Baby Boomer Guide to Social Security. I'd like to offer that up to each and every one of you. You can also go to hilltopwealthsolutions.com and access your free guide. Those are just a couple of educational things that we have that will be coming up to help you in your decisions. Our next show will be a very important topic, Medicare. Just like Social Security, everybody goes through it. They have to make Medicare choices. And Medicare sign-up will be happening starting in October. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we cover Medicare options, give you highlights and overviews, what to think about as it relates to your Medicare, even if you are currently on Medicare or you're going to be signing up for Medicare for the first time. This show will be really valuable for you. You know, as we mentioned, think about Social Security as a pension. And the way I think about from a planning perspective, you know, when you're saving money and you're climbing the mountain and wanting to make good financial decisions along the way, it's just climbing the mountain, you're going up, and it's about saving the money. But when you get to the top of the mountain and you start coming down, you know, that's where you really need to make sure you're coming down the mountain correctly. There's actually a stat that says 80% of all mountain climbing deaths happen on the way down, not on the way up. And that's the way we look at it in the planning side of it. So if you are in need of a second opinion, or if you don't have an advisor relationship, I would encourage you to take advantage of a 30-minute introductory call. In that call, we'll find out more about you, you find out about us, and we'll see if we can help you and direct you. We would really look forward to that opportunity. I'm going to leave you with these words of wisdom. Retirement is not the end of the road, it is the beginning of the open highway. Thanks for joining us on Your Wealth Health, and we'll see you next time.